What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. Our breakdown why tomorrow is going to be another interesting day as we have some bullish looking setups going into tomorrow. I'm also going to break down what's going on with other pieces of news involving Tesla. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or sign up to my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of the stock. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia stock. The offer ends very soon, so check out my links down below to get started. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the market and Tesla. So looking at the 4-hour time frame, Tesla was forming once again this bull flag, but we were talking about how Tesla was on a downtrend for the shorter term. But when Jerome Powell came out on Friday and he talked about how the Fed will likely be considering a cut in September, right? I'm not saying he said it with 100% certainty. I said likely that is what they're leaning towards because of what we're seeing with their dual mandate. That really helped Tesla break out. We're up 6%. And typically, when you see Tesla make big moves like this, when it's on a downtrend, so when we see these big dips and we start to like push higher, that typically is followed by an uptrend. There's many instances where this happened, where Tesla tried to break out higher. The odds favor this once again, continuing to push for the high right here, then eventually trying to break it. If we do, we could continue to just break out from here, looking at the 4-hour time frame. So for now, Tesla is looking a lot more bullish. So I think Tesla's doing a fantastic job so far, but the question is what's going to happen with the news and such. Let's break that down. I'll break down more details about Tesla. But like I said before, it is looking quite bullish, and I do think there's going to be a lot of upside still to come. So the first piece of news is this. We're seeing a lot of talk about the Tesla Model YL. It's worth mentioning that despite the slowdown in China and a lot of different markets for their sales, many people in China are once again preferring larger family cars with more seating, and that's where the Tesla Model YL comes out. The L stands for the long wheelbase, meaning a 6-seater layout with more legroom. I think that's very, very awesome as it has a very, very nice competitive price. And the price tag is it's a little bit higher than the 5-seat variant, uh, at about $47,000 USD, which is still not too bad for a vehicle of this caliber, right? It's very cool. And I think it's very, very awesome, and this could really help them to a larger extent. On top of this, Kimball Musk has been talking about how he believes Elon Musk deserves his pay package. Keep in mind the shareholders did promise Elon that he's going to get some kind of pay package. He does deserve it. Now, the exact extent of the pay package is still subjected to debates from different parties and different organizations. But I do believe Elon Musk will get paid eventually, and we're going to eventually fix this situation. So I'm not really worried about this. But if anything, I think it's very, very clear that he does deserve it, and things should be fine, at least moving forward. And then there's also been some news involving the NHTSA. They've been investigating whether Tesla correctly reported the crashes tied to the autopilot and FSD. They also mentioned that Tesla had an issue with the data collection, but that has now been fixed for the most part. However, despite that, we're going to see what happens with this investigation. It's still ongoing right now. Hopefully things are fine for Tesla. They're typically under investigation with the NHTSA, as once again, there's a lot of things Tesla has that it's kind of like looked down upon. Anyways, for tomorrow, it's going to be Monday, August 25th, 2025. At 10 o'clock a.m., we basically have new home sales coming out. Then we have the Dallas Fed manufacturing numbers at 10:30. And besides that, everything else is quite minor. So nothing too serious is coming out for tomorrow. On top of this, what's fueling the market is Jerome Powell. As you guys know, he's been talking about how he's going to be seeing a big shift in our economy where we're going to start to see some pain in the employment sector. We're starting to show a lot of signs of that, especially when you look at the latest payrolls data. So the Fed is now open to a cut, and he was looking a lot more dovish after saying that. He also mentioned that the inflation we may see may be short-lived. And once the Fed starts to cut, they're going to be trying to do this as a result of what's happening with employment. And they also believe that employment could be somewhat disinflationary, and they think that it's going to help to offset a lot of things going on. So their view is essentially that the Fed is seeing that the inflation could be shorter term and that they are more open to a cut because of what we're seeing. And if we get better employment numbers, that could change their view. But for now, If employment continues the trend it's on, there's a very, very good chance we're going to get a cut in September. And the cut could be either 25 basis points or even 50 basis points. If employment continues on this trend, we could even see a 50 basis point cut by the Fed. It depends. But if anything, there's a very, very high chance we get some kind of cut in September now. Jerome Powell has now solidified that, and that's what the market loves to hear. Now, this could lead to some concerns for like the more medium term if we do get some negative economic implications. But as of right now, the market's not really in that cycle. The market's not really fearful. And I think that the euphoria fueled by Jerome Powell is going to likely continue to push these stocks. That means that for now, the market does look more bullish. Although things could change towards the end of September or during a later period, we have to follow the trend. And for now, he's helping us pump. So I do think that's going to likely continue. Just a few more things. There's not really much for earnings for tomorrow, but we have a couple of banks on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have Nvidia's earnings, which could be a lot more impactful. Also, the fear and greed index is currently at greed. That's making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum is at greed, and so are other indicators. The put to call option ratio is now back to greed, and the VIX is looking to bounce right here as it's in a more neutral position. So that's something very, very important. Looking at Tesla, I just want to say that the daily is looking quite bullish. So is the 4 hour. And as we're trying to break out of this flag, I think we got a nice push higher. We're forming a bull flag. And if this continues, we're going to likely continue to uptrend once again towards these highs around the 350 area. If that breaks, we might just continue to push for the next couple of weeks. I think that this is looking quite bullish. Now, when you zoom out and look at the weekly time frame on Tesla, we got a very, very bullish looking weekly candlestick. Both the daily and the weekly look more bullish. So this is also favoring a test of these highs. If not, a break of them, and we could be looking for the 350s pretty easily. So for tomorrow, I want to see Tesla hold above 340. If Tesla can't hold 340, just hypothetically, we could return to about 335, and we'll see if we bounce off that or not. However, judging by the 4 hour time frame, we look very strong right here. So I believe that Tesla will see a nice push towards the 346 area. We'll see if we consolidate before trying to break out higher. And this could be a bullish continuation for what Tesla's about to do. So look for some upside for essentially the mid 340s. We could see some consolidation after that, but then after, I do expect this to break out for the 350s pretty easily, and there's a very, very good chance Tesla continues to pump. The 4 hour looks more bullish, and the other timeframes are looking quite good. So I'm favoring, once again, the 350s or above on Tesla. I think we're doing a fantastic job at holding up. So look for somewhat of a push and some consolidation. Then we'll see if we break out higher. And there's a very, very good chance we break out on the 4 hour time frame. So I think Tesla's looking quite good. On top of this, when you zoom out like this, you can see this looks like a white coffee and styled accumulation that's forming on Tesla. So basically, Tesla has this 367 target. We came down with this big dip. We made a higher low. And since then, we've been continuing to make higher lows, which I think is a good sign. And because Jerome Powell is now talking about lowering interest rates, I do expect Tesla to push higher for 346. Maybe it consolidates before it starts to break out for 350. Once that breaks, I think we easily push for 367 as our bullish target. I think Tesla's in for a big run higher. Another factor affecting Tesla is the broader markets. So remember when Tesla was basically pumping, it came down temporarily, then pumped again. Well, notice the pattern, right? SPY did something very similar. Let's actually ignore these lines. We pumped, came down a bit, then pumped. Look at the QQQ. Okay, we pumped, came down quite a bit, then we started to pump again. We could be trying to push more, especially with Nvidia's earnings. And then look at Tesla. It pumped, came down, it pumped. So it's following the markets. As the market starts to break out and push, I think that Tesla's going to likely follow this trend. And if anything, we have some bullish confluences. So for tomorrow, we're looking for 346 on Tesla. We might consolidate off that resistance as it's going to be kind of tough, but I think Tesla will break this and push for the 350s very soon. I do expect a breakout now. I think Tesla's looking quite solid, and we could be anticipating more upside looking at this white coffee and styled breakout. For the next week or two, I would not be surprised if Tesla breaks down for the 350s and eventually pushes for 367 by like mid-September. Then we'll see if we get some kind of correction phase towards the end of September or not. But for now, the charts look more bullish. The trend is your friend, so follow the trend. On SPY, even if we get some kind of corrective phase in September, let me just say that right now we're not ready for it, so we can't really assume it's happening yet. And the chart looks more bullish. We have a nice looking bull flag breakout on SPY. I think there's a good chance this tries to continue to push for essentially the 650s. If we break and hold 646 tomorrow, expect 650. If we lose, however, 642, we could turn back down for like 640 flat or below. In my personal opinion, I think the charts are favoring this bull flag breakout. There's a good chance we try to push higher for basically 650. So I think there's a good chance we go higher and we're looking quite solid. Also, if you look at the daily time frame, for example, I think that we're looking quite good on the daily, and we're favoring once again a break past 650 to eventually push out to new highs. So I think SPY is looking very bullish. Jerome Powell had his effect on the markets, and when you get a very, very big green candlestick like this, you're typically going to be followed by more upside, especially when you pivot off a downtrend. So, for example, right over here, when you're on an uptrend, you had a couple of days of red, and you got this nice green candlestick, and we just continue to go higher. Right here, a couple of days of red, then we got this nice green candlestick before we continue to go higher. And then there's another example right here. We dumped quite a bit in August, but then we got this green candle. We just continued to uptrend. We dipped quite a bit. Now we got another green candle. I think this is going to likely lead to a bullish continuation. We're getting good volume. The daily looks strong. The weekly is also looking quite solid on SPY. So we're favoring new all-time highs. So I think that we're getting some bullish confluences. And I would not be surprised if we push for 646 tomorrow. We're going to try to break that. If we do, I think 650 plus is coming pretty quickly. I think we favor upside, and the chart's looking quite strong. For the QQQ, I need to see this essentially fail at 566, to start dipping. As long as we're above this, we're actually favoring an attempt to reaccumulate and then push for 576 plus. I would argue the chart looks more bullish on the QQQ looking at the 4-hour time frame. Judging by the daily as well, I think we're also looking quite good on the daily. So for now, we're favoring upside. Look for some consolidation to start things off tomorrow, but then I think we push for 575. For the IWM, there's a very, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders here. So I do think we push temporarily. Left shoulder, head and right shoulder. As long as we don't end up losing essentially 232, we're favoring a push for 240. If that breaks, I'm looking for 245. I think the inverse head and shoulders pans out now that Jerome Powell gave us a big bounce. And we're favoring, once again, these highs all over again. On ES, we're looking more bullish as long as we don't end up losing basically 6,400. We're going to be favoring 6,500 plus or above. I think 6,500 is going to be tested if that breaks. We're looking for 6,525. So for now, we're favoring all-time highs on ES. On NQ, as long as you don't lose 23,500, we're going to be favoring an attempt to push for essentially 23,700. So I think NQ is going to be pushing higher as long as we hold our 20 EMA. I think we're looking fantastic, at least thus far. For Bitcoin, we're holding up well. As long as Bitcoin does not end up losing 112,000, I think it might be rebounding for 114,000 on the daily time frame. Also, the 4-hour showing some life. It did come down a bit only to bounce. Let's see us hold 112,000. We're looking for a rebound for 114,000. So far, so good. So for Tesla, as long as we don't lose 340, if we could hold above this, I'm favoring 346, then eventually 350 plus on Tesla. Nvidia has earnings this week. So long as we hold above 178, I'm going to be favoring 180 and 182, and this could help tech start pushing higher. So now we're looking more bullish. Apple's looking more bullish. As long as we don't lose 227, we're going to be favoring an attempt to push back up to 229. I'm favoring once again 229 to 230, and I think we're looking quite good. I don't want to see us lose 225. Let's see us hold 227 as long as it holds. 230 to 232 is likely coming as we look more bullish. On a couple more tickers, we're going to go back up to Netflix. Netflix is showing some weakness off this head and shoulders. I want to see us get back above 1210 to break out higher. If 1200 fails us, we could be dipping back down to 1180. So we're going to see what happens as we dip towards 1180. Then we'll see if we bounce back up to go higher. So watch and see what happens as we form a nice inverse head and shoulders. I want to see us get back above 1200. As long as we do, we're going to be looking quite fine. Let's see us hold 1180, then balance on Netflix. Hopefully we see some buyers defend. MSTR is looking quite good. As long as we don't lose 351, we're going to be favoring 366 tomorrow or above. As of right now, it's favoring more upside. I think we're holding up quite well. For Celsius, as long as we don't lose 60.5, we're favoring an attempt to get back up to the highs at 62.8. Supermicro is favoring upside, especially with NVIDIA's earnings. We have a double bottom. As long as we don't end up losing essentially 43, we're going to be pushing for 45 plus. For Palantir, we have 162 as our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for a attempt for 165. For Rivian, we look more bullish. Nice accumulation as long as we don't lose 12.6. We're favoring the 13.25 area. SoFi is once again favoring higher lows. As long as we don't lose 24, we're going to be favoring an attempt for 26. AMD is looking bullish. We're favoring 170 as our resistance. We're going to see if we lose support or not. As long as 168 holds, we have a double bottom. We're going to be favoring 170 plus. For ARM, if we break 138, we're looking for an attempt for 140. For PayPal, we're going to be favoring basically 70.3. And Coinbase is going to be favoring 325 as our resistance. I think there's a good chance we go higher. Amazon's going to be favoring an attempt for essentially essentially 230. So I think we're holding up well, trying to make a higher low. We're favoring the 230s. Meta, as long as we're above the resistance right here at 758, we're going to be favoring an attempt to bounce for 765. Google's favoring once again the new highs and an attempt for 211. So I think 210 to 211 is coming. And then Microsoft is also favoring an attempt for 509. If that breaks, I think we push up for 515. So I do see some bounce coming to 510, and the market's looking quite good. DJT is looking bullish. As long as we don't lose 17, we're going to be favoring 18.5. The VIX is rejecting. It's looking bearish. There's no sign of a bounce yet. It might be dipping to the low 14s, if not 13.8. That's a bullish sign for stocks. The 10-year could be dipping more unless we hold above this support. So look for the low fours, and we'll see if we bounce. The dollar might be trying to bounce here. We're going to see if it holds or not. It got a massive rejection on Friday. Might bounce a bit before it continues to fall. It does like the support right here. And then the crude is kind of flat, so I'm not really seeing much going on with that. The overall market looks more bullish, and I think that this could really help Tesla break out for 346. If we break that, I think we easily push for the 350s. I think Tesla's looking quite strong. We have a bull flag breakout, so expect some upside going into tomorrow as the most likely possibility. I don't want to see Tesla lose essentially 340 flats and also 335. If we're above 335, we're going to be fine. If 335 fails us, it could become a bad sign. So I want to see us hold that. As long as it holds, I expect this uptrend to continue, and we should be pushing for the 350s very soon. I think Tesla's going to break 346 as well, and I think we're holding up very well. So overall, it's doing a fantastic job for the time being. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your guys' weekends, and I'll be back very soon tomorrow morning with another update. Until then, take care, guys, and peace out.